My bestie, for the sake of hitting the jackpot, went and signed a deal with the devil. The contract went through, and now she's having major buyer's remorse. Doesn't want to cough up her soul. To pay off her debt, she had the genius idea to kidnap me and my daughter and drag us to the demon headquarters, offering us as meat for payment. Staring at the castle packed with demons, a shiver went down my spine. Not of fear, but of pure adrenaline. Holy crap, this was freaking Ethan Blackwood's stomping grounds. Years ago, we had a blowout fight, and I bolted back to the human world, only to find myself knocked up with his kid. Stubborn as a mule, I didn't reach out to him, not even after she was born. And now here I am dragged back with my little girl. Don't even think about trying to escape. If you do, I'll kill your kid and feed her to the dogs. My heart clenched, and I stopped my eyes from wandering. My daughter was beside me, all tied up, her eyes wide with terror. She couldn't hold it in and burst into tears. Wah! I was about to comfort her when some dude shoved a rag in her mouth, followed up with a couple of slaps across the face, leaving a nasty handprint on her cheek. The poor kid couldn't take it and passed out. Hey, don't you lay a finger on my daughter. The words were barely out of my mouth when I got a kick to the chest, knocking the air out of my lungs and spitting blood. You little witch, you think this is your backyard? Shut your trap. I blinked, my vision swimming in red, head buzzing like a hive. Me and my daughter, we didn't do anything to you guys. You got beef. Take it up with someone else, please. Just let us go. My daughter was lying there beside me, her little face all swollen and busted. It was heartbreaking to see. I tried to crawl to her, but someone stepped hard on my hand. The dude sneered. You can thank your bestie for this. She pawned your lives to us. She made a deal with us, then tried to back out. Now you guys get to be our soul food. The word soul food sent shivers down my spine, and I felt this wave of regret wash over me. Me and Amanda, we've been friends since we were little kids, practically sisters. She had been trying to hustle for cash lately, and I wired her a cool $1 million, just cause I was grateful. Then she tries to pay me back by taking me and my daughter out to dinner, and halfway through, we both go lights out. Next thing I know, I'm locked in a van, on a one-way trip to Demon Central. Turns out, she signed some sketchy contract, selling me and my daughter as a sacrifice. How could she do that? I gritted my teeth, tasting blood, and this wave of pure anger washed over me. The dude started muttering, holding a bowl close to me. Seeing him cut my arm, I knew something was up and knocked the bowl out of his hand. Let me go. Crash. The bowl shattered. The guy's eyes widened, rage bubbling over, and he shoved my face into the broken pieces. You little piece of trash. You think you can resist? I'll take your life. I struggled and groaned, sharp pain piercing my face as my fingernails dug into the ground, leaving trails of blood. Just when I thought I was going to pass out from the pain, someone yanked me to my feet. Enough. She's not going to be around much longer anyway. Souls that fight to the end, they don't taste as good. Another voice, smooth and comforting. I squinted, taking deep breaths. Then came the next shocker. The guy who roughed me up started sprouting black horns and a tail. Souls, contracts, and this creepy gaslight all clicked, and my memory snapped back. This is Ethan Blackwood's demon lair. Years ago, me and him had a major fight. I bailed out of the castle, only to discover I was pregnant with my daughter. Too prideful to reach out, I raised my daughter alone. And now, all these years later, I'm hauled back here. Knowing who was behind this, a strange calm settled over me. I know you guys are demons. Just let me go. The two guys exchanged a look, then started laughing. So what if you know, you're gonna be dead pretty soon? Their eyes were full of mocking glee. One of them pulled out a nasty knife and sliced into my palm. I screamed and coughed up blood. He dipped his fingers in the blood and sucked them, a dreamy look on his face. I stammered out, Ethan Blackwood is my boyfriend. If you even lay a finger on me again, he'll rip your heads off and use them as footballs. The name Ethan Blackwood seemed to rattle them. The next second I got slapped hard. You think you're worthy enough to talk about our boss? His girl is long dead. Dead. I froze, realizing that my disappearing act led Ethan to believe I had died. It's me, and I had his daughter. I was desperate to explain, but I didn't know where to start. The dude grabbed my hair, his disgusting tongue licking at the wounds on my face, sending sharp pain through me. My hands shook. Then I saw my daughter passed out on the ground, and an idea came to me. You don't believe me? Fine. My daughter's a demon. I screamed out. The two guys exchanged a glance, running over and sniffing her arm. Their faces immediately went white. For a brief moment, I thought I was saved. The next thing I know, I was back on the ground, kicked down. Damn it, just a human and a demon's mutt. Our boss would never get with a human. You think you can trick us, you little witch? We're gonna split your soul into 81 pieces. I had heard of soul dissectors. Ethan had joked about it, threatening me with it. A human soul is made up of 3 spirits and 9 souls, and demons eat that. Usually, demons eat souls when they're cooked, but there are some demons who take pleasure in splitting them up. The thought of it made my stomach churn. That's one of the reasons I had fought with Ethan. He promised me that he wouldn't let the demons eat any more humans. But looking at all this, it was all lies. I started thrashing, pure panic flooding through me. As the knife went down, ready to slice me open, the door got busted open. The boss is up, keep it down. I blinked. I recognized the voice. It was Ethan's right-hand man. Maybe he'll recognize me. I reached out with my hands to grab his pants, but before I could, the guys pulled me back. Desperate, I yelled out, Pete, I'm the boss's girl, remember me? Pete paused. Then his face went hard. He stepped closer. Where did you guys pick this one up? The two guys immediately squeezed my neck, fear dripping off them. We just caught her as a spy. She's making things up to save herself. And also, the boss's girl died years ago. This lowlife is just pretending to be her. We're about to give her a lesson. My eyes went wide. I couldn't speak, only make weird gurgling noises. My arms started to reach out towards Pete. Help me. Let her go, Pete said, walking closer and looking at me carefully. My hopes went up. The next thing I knew, I was on the ground. Pete's voice was cold. Not her, deal with it yourselves. The guys spit on me. That's right, she was a lying piece of trash. Before I could even register what was happening, I felt a sharp pain in my cheek, and my head spun to the side, ears ringing. One of them kicked me in the back, sending my knees crashing to the ground. Blood soaked into my clothes. The guy was laughing as he went to start taking off my clothes. If you didn't want to go down quietly, then get ready for us to have some fun before you die. I raised my hand to stop them and screamed. Someone was snapping my fingers in half, one by one. I was shaking from the pain. I didn't have the energy to fight back. In my despair, I heard a lazy voice. What's with all the noise? That voice, I knew it by heart. It was Ethan. Just by saying that, the guys in the room went from loud and arrogant to quiet and obedient. A flicker of hope sprang to life in my chest. Ethan was here. If he knew, he would get me out of this. I struggled to break free of the two men and ran towards the door, yelling out, Ethan. The guys went after me and shoved a rag in my mouth, dragging me back into the room. Bang! The door closed again. I struggled, and suddenly my tongue was searing with pain, blood filling my mouth. They cut off my tongue. The pain almost made me pass out, and I whimpered. Did I just hear a woman's voice? Ethan's voice was getting closer. It stopped outside the door. The two men, their faces dark and serious, started breaking my legs and arms. I was screaming in my head, but my voice was a whisper. They shoved my face back into the broken pieces on the ground. The blood and the shards started to cause me to pass out, and as my brain started to black out, I slammed my head to the floor. Bang! The door kicked in. Ethan, his face tight, stepped into the room, looking angry. Did I not tell you? Before he could finish, the two men kneeled down. Boss, she found out about us, and we were going to deal with her. Yeah, if we let her go, she'll make trouble for us. Ethan looked at them, his eyebrows coming together. He seemed to smell something familiar. He pointed at me and asked, where did you find this one? I made a gurgling noise. No, he couldn't hear me. I crawled to him. Before I could talk, Ethan stepped back, disgusted. The two men were quick to smack me. How dare you try to hook our boss? You think you're all that? Pete was just here, and she tried to say that she's our boss's girl. She needs to get what she deserves. I was shaking my head, not wanting to give up my last chance, and raised my hands. My palm was showing with a red birthmark. If Ethan saw that, he would know. You think you can trick me trying to steal my woman? You think you're good enough? I couldn't believe it. He didn't remember me. The burning in my chest was too much. I couldn't hold my body up and fell to the floor. Ethan narrowed his eyes and turned and walked out of the room. Deal with it yourselves. Hurry it up. I don't want my carpets ruined. The door closed and darkness fell. You think you can mess with our boss? You're nothing. You think you're good enough to be our boss's girl? She has pure blood, not a piece of trash like you. They started kicking me, and then their eyes fell on my daughter. I crawled over to protect her, but they picked her up and stepped on my chest, holding me to the ground and yelling out, I'll show you. I'll kill your daughter. Then I'll kill you. The pain brought my daughter back, and her eyes were filled with terror as she called for me. Mom, Mom, bang! A shard was scraped across her face, leaving a trail of blood. My anger was building up, but there was nothing I could do, and I could only watch as they tortured my daughter. I heard a few clicks from the corner. A man was standing there with a camera. I heard a woman's voice coming from the phone. Make her suffer. Don't let her die easily. Oh, take a few photos to show me. I love watching someone as high and mighty as Sarah getting dragged through the mud. I didn't know who the guy was, but I recognized that voice. It was in my bones. It was Amanda, my so-called best friend. The person I considered my best friend had pulled me into this and wanted to watch me die. The man then asked, what do you want me to do? I can do anything you want. Amanda giggled. I want her daughter torn to pieces and sent to hell. As for her, she can watch her daughter's death. The man chuckled and turned around, taking a knife and plunging it into my daughter. Blood poured out, and my daughter was screaming. I was bursting with anger and used all my remaining strength to push the man to the ground. He spat and sent a knife into my eye. I fell back. As my world was painted red, my daughter reached out with her hand, trying to grab me, but all she grabbed was air. Mommy, Mommy! Black smoke started to come out of her head, and a set of horns were coming out. It was a sign of demonic power. The knife was digging into my daughter's back. Blood was spurting out and pieces of flesh were hanging off the knife. The door was broken down, and Ethan's face was a mixture of anger and pain. His mouth was dripping with blood. His body was being covered with black smoke. It was terrifying. It dawned on me that he and my daughter were linked. My daughter had started to use demonic powers, and when she was being hurt, he felt the pain. He looked down at me, and I bit my lip, trying to ignore the pain, and I used my foot to bring a feather to his face. Demons that were linked had similar wings. He would understand.